Hello everybody and welcome to the Aviation Show, brought to you as always by the fabulous Pima Air and Space Museum in Tucson, Arizona. But we're not there, we're actually in a sunny Sussex. I always say that, but we are at Tangmere, which is one of the great airfields and now a fantastic aviation museum. And we're here with Julian Bridle, who's the marketing manager, who's going to be showing us around. So Julian, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Let's do the quick possid. What is Tangmere, and why is there a museum here now? Because it's not raining, so we're going to take the opportunity to give it an hour or two.
So here we are at Tangmere. Tangmere was a very important Royal Air Force station in the Second World War and afterwards, and we're in a corner of the airfield. So the airfield is over there. Very little of it left now, unfortunately. The control tower is still there, being restored at the moment. But we're in a small area of the airfield. Most of it is now farmland and housing over that way. Mm-hmm. No, not the main runway, but the secondary runway is under those glass houses. The main runway, 25, went down there. So that was dug up in the 1980s, and that became the Chichester to Emsworth bypass.
Oh, they use it for hardcore.
Yeah. And so you see where the ambulance is. Mm-hmm. So those houses behind it, that's where the hangars were, and that ambulance is on the hard standing, which would have been in front of the hangars, and then you can just see the control tower there. So that's fairly dilapidated at the moment, but there is a restoration project that's it's not part of the museum. We support it, but it's not part of the museum, and they are hopefully going to restore it. But it was a really important airfield during the Battle of Britain, mainly because of its location being so close to France. So when the enemy came over, they were based in France, they came over here. This was one of the first areas that they saw when they hit the mainland. Yeah. So it was a very important station.
So just to situate us, we're sort of Portsmouth and Southampton are just down there. Goodwood, West Hampnett's over there, Thorney Island, Ford.
Yeah, Goodwood's over there.
Oh, Goodwood's over there.
Yeah, so that was West Hampnet during the Second World War. So that was a satellite of Tangmere. And then you've got Merston down there, which was another satellite. And then other airfields came alive in the run-up to D-Day as well. So you've got Funtington, you've got Bognor, you've got Appledram, you've got loads of airfields around here. And then you've got Ford just over there as well, which was a Royal Naval Air Station.
Yeah. So we're sort of quite central to all the exciting things that everybody would have read about in 1940 and afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we've come outside first, and now that we've spoken about the Second World War, we're not going to talk about it for a minute, because we've got the aircraft that you've got outside, and you're doing some work on the Vixen.
Yeah, the Vixen's being repainted at the moment. Unfortunately, we have to store these aircraft outside, and so they are ravaged by the weather. So we have to continually conserve them. It's covered in scaffolding at the moment, but it'll look great when it's finished.
We're going to go into a little bit more depth on these later with Joe, who's been genning up on British airplanes.
Okay.
But the sort of collection has steadily grown over the years. We were saying before there that you've got lots of fun stuff and just a lack of space, which is a sort of mantra for lots of sort of small, medium-sized museums like yourself, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We've when we started, it's like most museums. It started with a collection of bits, and and then just grew from there. So the huts over there are original Seco huts. So they're from the 1950s. They had a life of about 20 years when they were put up. So they're well beyond their life expectancy. But that's where it started, those huts over there. And then these hangars here have just grown. So we were allocated an amount of space. We own this space, but that's it. That's all the space that we have. So everything else has grown over time as the museum has expanded and people have donated things and we've collected aircraft. But we've got nowhere to put them. So unfortunately, we have to store them outside, which is a real shame.
Super. Well, let's start having a look around, and as we're sort of over the gates, we always can, and it's. So what do we have on your sort of mini flight line along here?
So we've got the Sea Vixen, we've got Sea Harrier. This Sea Harrier actually served in the Falklands.
Oh, great. Okay.
And it's painted in the livery that it would have been in the Falklands as a tribute to the to the aircrew that served. But it's not in the format that it would have been when it served. So a lot of people have pointed that out, and they say, that's not the right colour scheme, and it's not. You're right, but it is it's painted as a tribute, purely and simply.
Yeah. So which I'm going to test you here. Who was she flying with in the Falklands? Hermes, Invincible. Putting you on the spot now.
Yeah. I don't know, to be honest. You have put me on the spot. Yeah. I've got that information in the back of my head somewhere, but it's compartmentalised and it won't come out. But yeah, it did fly quite a few missions, and I believe it's even got a kill to its name.
Well, what I'll do is I'll put some text up on screen. when we do.
So the marketing manager doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yes, the marketing manager here says sell the museum as a whole.
Then we got the Wessex. This is a Royal Navy Wessex. I don't think there's a lot of history behind this one, except to say that it is an example, once again, of a very important aircraft. It has seen better days. Once again, it's suffered because of the weather. When it came here, it was immaculate. It was even in working order, but it suffered. So this is being restored as well, and the scaffolding will go up around this next year when the Sea Vixen is completed. So it'll look immaculate again. But it's a fourth bridge job.
Yeah. So even though we're on an XRF station, you're sort of telling the sort of wider bit of aviation in this neck of the woods, especially with Ford being up the road as a fleet air arm place.
Yeah, I mean, there are tentative connections. So we used to have a Whirlwind here, and the Whirlwinds were based here doing air sea rescue towards the end of the station's life in the late 60s. Unfortunately, that fell apart. Yeah. So, but that's the kind of very tentative link between the Navy helicopters. And then we've got the Harrier GR3. This, once again, has history. So in the Daily Mail air race from London to New York, this came second to a Phantom on the return leg. So this, there's some fantastic photographs of it. They created a heliport by the GPO Tower in London, and it took off from there, and it landed at a similar place right in the centre of New York. Yeah, it did very well, but was pipped by a Phantom on the way back, Navy Phantom.
Didn't one of them win on the way out? Sorry. I've just read David Rooney's book about Alcock and Brown, and he mentions it at the end, yeah.
Yeah, it's not this Harrier, it's another Harrier that came fastest on the way out. That's the one at Brooklands.
Yes. But there we go.
But it was this one on the way back.
And I just love that story that just is mad.
Absolutely,
try to get it all together.
And then we've got the Phantom. This is my personal favourite aircraft. I love this aircraft. This is X-Ray Victor 408. And we have one of our volunteers was the pilot who flew this from California back to the UK when it was new.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And it's in the colours of Flight Lieutenant David Barron, who was our chairman. He was a group captain when he retired, and he was our chairman. He's unfortunately passed away since then, but it's painted as a tribute to him. Once again, a rivet counter would say it's not in the right format, so the tail's wrong for this colour scheme. But but it's painted as a tribute to him. It was one of the 2 blue aircraft that at the end of life of the Phantom were painted blue, and they were the airshow aircraft. So there were 2 of them. The other one is in Krakow, I think.
Okay.
But it looked fabulous in blue, but it's been repainted. It was blue when it came here, but it's been repainted as a tribute now. Yeah.
Fantastic. Right, well, I hate to say it, but shall we get out of the sun?
Yeah. Right.
So as we walk over inside, I suppose we could chat for a quick second about what is the story that the museum's telling once we get inside to have a look around, and we let everybody in, so we get a rundown.
So there are 3 stories, 3 key stories that we're trying to tell here. The first one is the Battle of Britain. So the story of the Battle of Britain is, well, it's the story of England's defence, or Britain's defence against the Luftwaffe. And so Tangmere played a hugely important role in the Battle of Britain, both in terms of the pilots who flew from here, but also Tangmere was attacked on the 16th of August in 1940 at the height of the Battle of Britain. And all of the hangars were destroyed, well, all but one. 15 people lost their lives, including Billy Fisk, who he crash landed literally just over the other side of that hedge. That's
just in case people haven't heard of Billy Fisk, he was an American bobslayer, 1936.
1936 Olympics, bobsleigh champion. From a hugely wealthy financial family in the US. He was the first US person to volunteer for the RAF, and came over here via Canada actually, and volunteered before the US were obviously part of the war. And he was based here. He wasn't operational for very long before unfortunately he was shot down.
Sorry, totally interrupted you there on the 3 stories. So we've got Battle of Britain.
Yeah, Battle of Britain. The next one is the Special Operations Executive. So the agents that were sent over to France, they flew from here. So 161 Squadron they flew Lysanders from a corner of the airfield, literally just over there, in the corner over there. Very, very sneaky beaky. And the agents came down and stayed at Tangmere Cottage, which is just over there, opposite where the entrance was. And then they came down here, and they got onto their Lysanders and they flew over to France. So that was another part of the story. Once again, a very important part of the story. And then the third part is the airspeed record. So Tangmere, after the war, became the home of the high-speed flight. So we have the F.3 Hunter, and we have the Meteor, which both broke the airspeed records in 1946 and 1952.
I'm smiling. I love that Hunter.
It's a fantastic Hunter,
fantastic
isn't it? Yeah.
Super. Well, let's get inside and have a look around.
Sure. Yeah, so this is the Battle of Britain Hall. So this tells the story of the Battle of Britain in general, but also Tangmere's part in the Battle of Britain. So this is really, it's told the story through relics.
Yeah.
So a lot of the artefacts that are here have been dug up in excavations that happened in the 1970s. So a lot of that stuff is here. So it just tells the story. That's an interesting painting. It's by a local artist, and that windmill is just on the top on the downs. And the aircraft used it as an aiming marker when they were when they were landing, because you can see the windmill from miles away, and so they used to turn and then land down here. So you can see, bits of aircraft all over the place. So these were parts of aircraft that have been dug up in various excavations.
And little cards for some of Tangmere's more illustrious visitors. Of course, if people have been watching The Crown, they'll have heard about Peter Townshend's later life.
Yes, that's true.
But he was a Tangmere man, wasn't he? Briefly, I think. 43?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Possibly. Yeah. Possibly, yeah.
I'm sorry, I've just been reading Black Robinson's new book about Cyril Babbage.
Right.
And that's why it's popped into my head. But yes, there we go. Sorry, I digress. But
yeah, so we tell the stories of a lot of pilots who were based at Tangmere during the war, and sadly, a lot of them lost their lives.
Right. So down here, if we head this way.
So this is a Stuka engine. This was dragged out of the channel just off Selsey by a local fisherman. We can't prove it conclusively, but we think it was shot down by a guy called Dennis Noble, Sergeant Dennis Noble, who was the pilot of that aircraft, which was a Hurricane. So that was excavated from Hove, where it crashed, just along the coast here in the 1990s. The council were digging up the road, and they said, did we want to excavate it? So we said yes, absolutely. So we dug it up. So he went straight down into the deck on the 30th of August 1940, and they gave him a funeral, proper funeral, and then when they excavated it in the 1990s, they discovered his body still in the cockpit. So they had to give him another funeral. But yeah,
as tended to be the way when you went straight in, which always amazes me that the engine's still in as good a nick as it is, considering the rate it would have been going in.
Well, yeah, and I said that as well. We've got another engine that we've just taken delivery of, which was from a crashed Spitfire site. And the guy who excavated it said, it's a solid lump of metal. So it's actually gonna be remarkably well preserved. And everything that's behind it is usually very well preserved as well. So that's why you get a lot of equipment from the cockpit, like the control column, for example, is very often in very good condition once it's excavated, because it's behind this solid lump of metal.
Yeah. And the thing that always struck me as well, especially chatting to people who've excavated Hurricanes, the radios on these things were so massive as well. They'd sort of come forward at a great rate of knots.
Yeah.
And it was tricky. And we have to mention your camera collection, as Tony Hoskins is a friend of mine. So, of course, leading the PRU Memorial for Whitehall. That is a lot of cameras from a very wide sort of stretch of the RAF's photo reconnaissance end, isn't it? Because it's almost beginning of photo reconnaissance quite late, aren't they?
So, I know absolutely nothing about this.
I'll get Tony to come show me all these ones. But yeah,
I think this is one of those things where, as a museum, we have a load of stuff, and people donate stuff to us, and we probably just thought, we've got a load of cameras, let's put them out. But I know absolutely nothing about this. Sorry.
That's all right.
So this is such a tragic story, because Dennis Noble was operational for about 3 weeks. He was 20 years old when he died on the 30th of August. And these are some of the relics that were excavated. So you can see the engine, as you pointed out, is in pretty good condition. Well, considering it hit the ground at 400 miles an hour and was 15 feet under the ground. Obviously, that's been reconstructed, but it shows how the various bits and pieces of the infrastructure would have looked. This is his parachute. So this was excavated along with him. Various bits and pieces that came out of the ground as well. But an incredibly tragic story. But yeah, as I said, he was operational for about 3 weeks.
Which is long for some and short for others, is it? Yeah. Which is terrible shame. Right. Where's your next, Julian?
Right. So if we go down here. We've got a lightning simulator there. If you want to do anything with that,
we can pop by and have a play with that in a bit.
Yeah.
As there is a queue. That's 408, the Phantom from outside. That's when it was in its air display mode. 92 Squadron. The Pima Air and Space Museum in Tucson, Arizona is home to one of the largest non-government funded aviation and space museums in the world. Featuring nearly 400 aircraft, the museum is home to an incredible collection like NASA's NB-52 X-15 dropship and 747 SP Sophia Airborne Observatory, to a wealth of rare military types from air forces all around the world, to the first production 777. Whether you're a military or civilian aviation geek, there will be an incredible aircraft around every corner of this epic 80-acre site for you to explore. As the Aviation Show's partnership with the Pima Air and Space Museum enters its third year, we're delighted to say that Pima is truly a top of your bucket list museum to visit. And it keeps getting better, as this year the Tucson Military Vehicle Museum will be opening right next door. To find out more about the incredible collection and the fantastic events coming up at the Pima Air and Space Museum, and of course the Tucson Military Vehicle Museum, head over to www.pimaair.org to plan your trip to one of the world's great aviation collections, and one that now includes tanks next door, if that's your sort of thing. There we go. Got a shout out for the 609 Typhoon boys.
Do we know?
Oh, he's got to give them a mention.
I think he's just coming.
Good.
There he comes. This is the airfield as it was. So virtually none of this exists anymore. All of these hangars were destroyed on the 16th of August, apart from one of them, I think. So they were all rebuilt and they became T2 hangars towards the end of the war. But yeah, none of the buildings exist. I think the NAFI's still there. That's been changed into apartments and one of the other buildings, I think, but everything else is gone and the airfield is here. So we're about here. So the airfield's there. That's the main runway went down there, and that's where all the buildings were.
So when visitors come along and have a look, we're literally on the edge of what was a huge operation down here, because this was not a sector station, was it?
It was. Yeah.
I always get my sector stations confused, but yeah, it's a big old place.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Not on the scale of Biggin Hill, but
no.
But it still was a fair size. That's the windmill that we saw earlier on. So you can see the proximity to it. So it was a great aiming marker for the airfield.
both ways, I suppose.
Yeah. Right, so before we go and have a look at the aircraft,
Yes, we have to chat about my neighbour.
your neighbour.
So Neville Duke lived in Horsham
Did he?
in the 50s.
Okay.
So there's the local historical society has a plaque on his house in the Causeway. Yes.
Okay.
So, but yes, there we go. There we go. But tell us a little bit about Neville Duke, as for those who might not have heard about him, if they haven't, shame on them.
Yeah. So, a distinguished pilot in his own right during the war. After the war, became part of the high-speed flight, which was based here at Tangmere, and flew the only Hunter F.3, which was it was converted from an F1 and upgraded specifically to break the airspeed record, which it did, and break it off the coast of Littlehampton. It's 727 miles an hour, and I think he held it for about 2 weeks before it was broken again.
And I have that exact copy of Test Pilot as well, which is a fantastic read if anyone wants to hear about what was a remarkable career.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Then
And he was our honorary president right up until his death, and he was instrumental in getting that aircraft and the Meteor here, actually, along with a couple of the founder members of the museum. But he was an integral part of getting that aircraft here.
And the story about Neville Duke I always find just fascinating was Farnborough 52, when the DH-1 crashed into the crowd. And see, I'm going to tell this story, and then names of all the pilots gone straight in my head. But it was his best friend that was flying the de Havilland, and then they tidied up a bit, and he took off and broke the sound barrier for the crowd, because the crowd was still expecting the sound barrier to be broken.
Just at different times, wasn't it?
The name's going to come to me in about 5 minutes when we get over there, and I'll go, But yes, remarkable chap.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah. And when he passed away, his widow donated a lot of his kit, so we've got a lot of it here. We've got our meeting room is named in his honour. We've got another display of his kit over there as well.
Super. Right.
Of course, we've got his aircraft.
Yes. I've been on record many times saying that the Hunter is possibly my favourite jet. It is the most pretty of aircraft.
It's a beautiful aircraft, isn't it?
And you have the only one with reheat, and specially stripped down with all special bits and pieces for Duke's Lesbury record attempt, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is it. This is the actual aircraft converted from an F1, and specially created just to break the airspeed record.
And he took off from here.
Yeah, took off from here. This is the.
We'll get Joe back. He's showing it off, because it's, if I remember correctly, it's got a reheated Avon, extra speed brakes and things for slowing down, all the stuff that the standard F1 and then later F5 didn't have.
I think I'm right in saying this is the only Hunter with air brakes.
Yeah. And the Hunter being such an amazing aircraft, they still use it as an aggressor aircraft today.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
And of course, Hawker's fabulous design will just, as my thing. So this is the route he took.
This is the route he took. So Tangmere is here. It was a route went from there, and then so backwards and forwards, and the average of both runs, and 727 miles an hour.
There we go. Now that we've come over here, I can actually read the card. The DH-110. It was John Derry, so I knew you guys had it all out to do it. But there you go. So, yeah, whenever I come down here, I just sort of pop in and look at her because it's Hunter looks great in any paint scheme. In bright red, she looks even better.
Yes. It is a beautiful aircraft. And then also the Meteor, which was also part of the high-speed flight. This one was flown by Teddy Donaldson, who once again was a distinguished pilot during the Second World War, an ace. And this aircraft broke the airspeed record at 615 miles per hour in 1946. So this is actually a Mark
Four?
4.
Yep.
And it wasn't actually in production when it broke the airspeed record. It only came into service in 1947, but this was a pre-release, if you like.
There you go. And then behind us, we have a couple of your lovely replicas. We have 504K.
504K. So this is a 99.9% exact replica of the original prototype, which sadly was lost before the war. This was the project to recreate this was led by. Now my mind's gone blank. Test pilot Geoffrey Quill.
Yes.
The project was actually led by him in the 1980s, and half of the team that created it worked on the original prototype. So it's not the original; it is a replica, but it's about as good as you can get to the, or close as you can get to the original.
And then the Hurricane is in Paul Ritchie's colours, who famously wrote Fighter Pilots anonymously when it came out in the 1940s about his experiences in France, because they weren't allowed to put their name on any of the books, which again is another fantastic book that everybody should read. And hopefully one of these days someone will find the unedited version, as I think the old censor went through it with a fine-tooth comb. But it's, but I guess you're also sort of showing sort of life on the station, bicycles being main part of guessing about the sort of famous chairs everyone would see from the stills of the summer of 1940. Because we are actually recording the day after Battle of Britain Day 85, aren't we? So we're here at the right time.
Absolutely, yeah. Although this represents a hurricane that was in the Battle of France, like I said earlier on, Tangmere played such an important role in the Battle of Britain. Yesterday is an important day. On the 16th of August, which is when Tangmere was bombed, we had a commemorative event here. So we sounded the air raid sirens in the car park outside. We had a service of commemoration in our memorial garden, which is outside, and it was incredibly well attended. So we wanted to. One of our aims is to become, part of the community, so that we can tell the story of Tangmere to the local people. The village of Tangmere is now a lot larger than it was during the war, and a lot of people don't know the story of Tangmere, so we want to be able to tell that as well. So that's one of our aims.
And with Chichester growing as well, with all the developments as well. Yeah. You have Mitchell's shotgun as well, don't you?
Yes. Yeah, we do. Another random thing that we've acquired somehow. As with a lot of the artifacts, so that was the engine that I was talking about earlier on. This is a guy called Ted Hall, who was an Australian pilot based at West Hampton, which, as I said earlier on, is now Goodwood, which is just right around the corner. This is a great story. He took off and had an oil leak. They were on circus over to France, 1941, I think it was. And they got halfway over the channel, and his cockpit canopy was covered in oil. So he couldn't see where he was going. Literally couldn't see where he was going. So his wingmen guided him back across the channel to back to the UK. And told him when he was over the coast so that he could actually bail out. So he did, he bailed out, and the aircraft crashed in Hailsham, just north of Eastbourne. Was dug up in the 1970s. And we've just acquired the engine here. And actually, when we unveiled it earlier this year, his great nephew who happened to be over in the country from New Zealand, and contacted us completely out of the blue, not knowing anything about the engine, and said, "Can I come down?" And said, "Well, actually, yeah, that
would be fantastic."
Yeah, and it was incredible.
Right.
So you've got your Lysander, which is again a replica, but one that's been on the silver screen.
It has, yes. It was in a dreadful film with Brad Pitt called Allied. If you haven't watched it, I wouldn't bother.
Well, it's got Marion Cotillard in it, and she's worth watching in just about anything she's in.
But it is a fantastic replica, even down to the drip tray underneath the engine, which is great. Most people don't realise that it's a replica. It's a fantastic piece of work, but it does represent a very important part of the airfield's history. As I talked about earlier on, the SOE and the SIS agents flew from here as part of 161 Squadron from a corner of the airfield, and they flew at night with no GPS. Obviously, pitch black. They followed rivers. They followed major roads to find the airfield where they were going to land, which was in the middle of France, and landed, dropped off their agents, picked up new ones, and brought them home again. Absolutely incredible.
The abilities of the pilots of those squadrons, the special operations squadrons, is just wild and maddening in that using a bit of dead reckoning, they could find some random field with a guy with a torch waving it and getting in and out more often than not. Yeah. So I don't know. I love Lizzie.
It didn't always go to plan.
No.
So there were a couple of aircraft on the same night that crashed in fog. One just over there in Uving, and one over there in Ford. They just couldn't find the airfield, and sadly crashed, and both lost their lives. We have a service of commemoration coming up for both pilots on the 18th of October.
It is a very good film prop, and very key for. But yeah, you're right. The film is pretty missable, despite Madame Cotillard's best efforts in it. Behind us, we have.
This is our Swift.
Yes, the Swift. It's a poor thing.
Well, depending on who you talk to, there are a lot of people who think it's a very underrated aircraft.
I'm going to say something controversial here. I think that's because of the Supermarine bit before the Swift. I think there's a bit of bleed up. But anyway, so sorry.
We have one of our volunteers is an ex-Hunter pilot, and he also flew the Swift. And he said the Hunter came along at the right time, but the Supermarine Swift was as good, just had the wrong engine. Yeah, because I'm looking for it.
It still has an Avon, but it's the earlier Avon in it because the later one couldn't fit. I think is the something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember the exact details.
We'll be delving more into this, and of course, terrible is wrong to say. Very protracted development on it as well, which didn't certainly didn't help it showing up when it was probably needed. But it does have those very supermarine-y lines when you would look at sort of the Spriteful and the Attacker that, of course, was the jet one.
Well, I mean, when these aircraft were being developed, there was a massive rush to get something out there that served the purpose that it was going to be developed for. And these two aircraft came along at the same time. This one just had the wrong engine at the wrong time, and the Hunter was right. Yep. So they pulled all the money into the Hunter.
Yeah, so that Hunter was one of the few I think Cam was quite happy with. It didn't have its perfectly good airframe ruined by a rotten engine.
Yeah.
As he was one of his maxims. You have a fab sort of collection of cockpits as well here, don't
Yeah, we do. Yes. Yeah, we've got the Canberra there. That actual aircraft was based here.
Okay.
In the 50s, I think I'm right in saying. But yeah, that aircraft was based here. They had a flight of Canberras. This one, this Hunter, that's an F4. The rest of that aircraft, so this was converted to a trainer, two-seat trainer in the 1970s. And when they converted it, they obviously didn't need this section. So this ended up with an Air Cadet squadron. But the rest of this aircraft is still flying. So you made the point about target aircraft.
Yeah.
It went over to Switzerland. It's now in Canada as part of the I can't remember what the name of the company is, but they used them for aggressor aircraft.
So it was just basically unbolt from just forward of the intakes, wasn't it? And they could put the tandem. No, it's side by side.
Tandem, it's side by side. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, it does spoil some of the lines of the Hunter a little bit, but it's. And I'm pleased to say, dear listener, I can just about fit in a Hunter, so that always keeps me.
Well, you're welcome to sit in that one if you want to.
I'll probably do it because I adore it.
So that's what it looks like now. As you say, it's a side by side, and it does ruin the lines a little bit.
Yeah. A slightly necessary, if unfortunate, change.
So another Hunter. This is a one squadron Hunter, and this aircraft was based here as well at Tangmere. This is painted in. I didn't know what the yellow and black stripes were, but it's for the Suez classes. So along the same lines as the D-Day markings, these were the markings for the Suez classes.
And these ones are yellow. Korea had same configuration but white and black. So if you see like Sea Furies and Meteors and things, they've got the same sort of stripe things. He says they're white. I'm pretty sure they are, but there we go. And of course the fabulous Aiden cannon, which stayed in service for forever, didn't it? And sort of bolts up as a sort of cartridge thing right on the bottom there behind the ejector seat.
That's right. So that's what that thing is there. So that goes under there, and I didn't know what those things hanging off the side of the aircraft are, but they're for
ratcheting it
up. Yeah. And so we've got the picture there of Alan Pollock.
Who just passed away, didn't he?
He did, yes, very recently, So famously, when he went under Tower Bridge, he flew from here. So there was a force-ship. They were based here. Well, no, sorry, that's wrong. They were visiting here from West Raynham. And they spent the night here, had a good time in the mess, and then were flying back to West Raynham. And in those days, you could fly straight over central London. So he'd made this decision previously that he was going to make his own little demonstration against the government of the day. So his plan was to peel off as they went over central London and buzz the Houses of Parliament, which he did. He went twice round the Houses of Parliament, and that was all planned. What wasn't planned was when he'd finished the second circle, he saw Tower Bridge and he thought, well, I'm already in trouble, so I might as well make the most of it. And so he did, and he went under. But in his own words, he was so high because he wanted to avoid the road bridge. He was convinced that the tail was going to hit the top. And it didn't, but literally he had seconds to plan this manoeuvre, and he thought he was too high, so he thought he was going to scrape the top, but didn't.
And then we've got, the thing is, everybody loves the lightning.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
It's fantastic. It's lovely. It's things like that. But
You're a hunter man.
I'm a hunter man. It's as English Electric. I think the Canberra looks very lovely for what it is, and then they designed that, which just is a bit of a brute.
It is a brute, absolutely. Yeah, you're completely right, and it was designed with one purpose. I mean, it is literally a couple of engines and a pilot, and that's it. Yeah. With a couple of missiles strapped to the side.
And it's exactly the same principle as the Spitfire. Point defense, climb quickly, intercept, get down, do it again.
Yeah. This is an F.53, which was the export version, but basically the same as an F6. So it's painted as an F6. But this one served in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
And
So did I.
did you?
I didn't actually work on this one, but she was the last one to come out of storage
Okay.
over there, yeah.
Okay.
Actually seen one of these go off, fully loaded up with bombs, missiles, and come back down. Horrible days.
One of our volunteers flew this in Saudi, this actual aircraft, and those two black and white photographs are, sorry, the middle one in the Saudi markings, that's this aircraft with him flying it. So he was an instructor. But it is a beautiful aircraft. I disagree with you. I absolutely love it. I think it's a fabulous aircraft. It is a brute. It's a complete brute. And a pig to fly, by all accounts. But
well, it is, like you said, it's two engines, a couple of razor blades on either side, and a pilot strapped onto the front holding on for dear life.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and you've got about 15 minutes flying time at full power. So not a lot of margin for error either.
No. But then, that's the sort of dawn of take off, hit a tanker, go do what you have to do. And get back again.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So we're going to pop over to the restoration bit in a bit. We'll do a separate little video over there. But there is one more thing that we've been saving on this tour, hasn't there? Which is Nicholson's jacket.
Ah, yes, of course.
Which we walked straight past in the Battle of Britain thing, because it is a remarkable artifact.
It is, yeah.
That's why I sort of asked you to save it to last.
Yes.
As we can wander back that way and have a look at it.
Yeah, of course. So
yes, James Nicholson, he had a bit of a day, didn't he?
It was an interesting day, yeah. One that I'm sure he celebrated in the mess afterwards. So the official story seems to have got a little bit glamorised over time, but what actually happened was he was doing his thing and was shot in the engine, and as he was about to bail out, he saw what we now know was an ME-109, not as depicted in this picture, an ME-110. It was a 109. And decided to stay in his cockpit while it was on fire, or while the aircraft was on fire, and shoot it down, which he did. And then he bailed out. There is the story's been exaggerated over time, and he wasn't out of his cockpit and then got back into his cockpit. He stayed in his cockpit.
You're spoiling it now, Julian.
I mean,
it's still incredible.
Exactly, yeah.
Shooting down a 109 while you're on fire is quite something.
Yeah. So this is his uniform, and as you can see, it's fairly battered and bruised and fire ravaged. And one of the questions that we're always asked mainly by kids is that blood? And no, it's not blood. But as he landed, he was shot in the backside by the Home Guard, who thought he was a German. So his day, when he got out of his aircraft, his day just got a little bit worse. But he was, rightly so, awarded the Victoria Cross for his bravery.
And am I right in saying he was the only fighter command VC during the war?
Yeah. And I mean, you could argue that every fighter pilot was an incredibly brave person, but I guess for whatever reason he just went over and above.
And of course, tragically, he was killed.
Yeah.
Was it in a Liberator off Burma in May 1945? There's a...
Yeah, over in the Far East. Yeah, he was a passenger in that aircraft. And towards the end of the war, 2nd of May. Yeah. 2nd of May, 1945. So very near the end of the war. Well, the end of the war in Europe anyway.
Now that replica medal set, not the actual...
Not the actual medals, no. Far too valuable. So they are, I think I'm right in saying, in the RAF Museum. They own the actual medals. But there's a great story attached to the uniform. So one of the founding members of this museum got in contact with Nicholson's widow, and she was in poor health at that time, and he obviously died during the war, but this was during the 1980s, I think it was, and went up to see her because she was just clearing out all his stuff and she was going to throw it away. It had been up in the loft since the war, just in a box, and she was just having a clear out, and she was going to throw it all away. And this priceless artefact would have ended up in a skip somewhere. So we're very, very lucky to have it. It's an incredibly important artefact, as you said.
Julian, this has been a lot of fun. If people want to find out a little bit more about Tangmere, where can they go? Where can they look you up?
So our website is tangmere-museum.org.uk. Lots of information on there, and we're down near Chichester in West Sussex, so come along and see us.
So any events coming up over Christmas time and the holidays?
So we close the middle of November for a couple of months. We open again the middle of February, but we do have some more events coming up this year. This is our Special Operations Executive event season, so we've got a lot of stuff. We had there was a play about Odette Sampson a couple of weeks ago. We have a novelist, Fiona Valpy, coming in to do a book signing and a talk in a couple of weeks' time. And then we have there's another couple of talks and book signings coming up as well, plus the commemoration event that I mentioned earlier on for the two Lysander pilots that were killed in the fog when they were trying to land. So that's coming up on the 18th of October, I think it is.
Super. I will hopefully have this all out before then. So
fantastic.
good. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
You are very welcome.
We'll go have a look at the restoration bit now for the next video.
Yes. Okay.
Super. Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody. Do the likes and subscribes, which you have to do if you watch these sorts of videos. And we've got more coming for you from Tangmere. Thanks a lot. I'd like to say thanks to all of our fantastic supporters over on Patreon. If you head over to our Patreon page, you can join the fun from just £3 a month, plus a bit of VAT, get your name in these very credits, and get all the episodes ad-free and early as soon as I get the edit finished. The Aviation Show is hosted and produced by Matt Bone and is a Boney Abroad production.